Best chess player of all time, Magnus Carlsen, visited a park in Spain several years ago and met possibly the best woman chess player of all time, Judit POLGAR. And they played the blitz game. It was a serious battle, no fooling around. POLGAR started with e4, c5 Sicilian defense, knight f3, e6, standard variation with d4 exchange of the pawns on d4, knight jump to c6. Next move for white could be knight b5 with the idea to check the opposing king from d6, but POLGAR chooses more standard variation and plays knight c3. Magnus responds with a6, not allowing anyone to penetrate to a square b5. Bishop develops to e3, Magnus develops the queen on c7, queen d2 for POLGAR, preparing long castle, knight develops to f6, f3, important move in this position to protect the pawn on e4 and preparing an attack with the move g4, bishop e7, getting ready for castling the king, long castle for POLGAR, she is ready to attack on the king side of the board, b5 for Magnus, he starts an attack on the queen side of the board. POLGAR doesn't pay any attention to that and starts her own attack with the move g4. So both players are playing serious chess. No fooling around here, they play very seriously. Knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, bishop goes to a long diagonal for Magnus. e5, normally in these positions white continue attack with the move g5. e5 is also possible, but that sacrifices a pawn, believe it or not, because knight takes g4 for Magnus. And you cannot take the knight on g4 because you're going to lose the rook on h1. Therefore, Judit prefers a much better move, rook g1. Rook g1 putting the rook on a very nice file g, attacking now the knight on g4. Magnus could have played here bishop takes f3, protecting this knight, but also his position was very unpleasant. Even after that move, he decides to retreat with the knight to a square h6. And his idea was that if Judit takes the pawn on g7, he would fork with the knight attacking the bishop and attacking the rook, and black's position in this case would have been much better. Instead, Judit plays safe and correct. Bishop develops to d3, and now pawn on g7 is already under attack, because if rook takes g7 now, there is no move knight f5, because the square f5 is under control by the bishop from d3. And now it's very difficult to defend this pawn on g7. Black cannot castle in this position for several reasons. One of them that they will lose a knight on h6 because the pawn on g7 is pinned and black cannot capture the queen, or there is a much better combination here. Rook takes g7, sacrificing the rook, queen takes g7, rook g1 check, king h8, and queen takes h6. And black cannot defend two checkmates from g7 and from h7. So the game could have ended right there. Instead, Magnus played bishop f8. Pretty ugly move, but again, how do you defend the pawn on g7? Bishop e4, very precise for POLGAR. She wants to exchange the light square bishops. Magnus plays a very logical move, rook c8, putting the rook and the queen on the same file c. And this was a crucial mistake of the game. You can stop the video now and try to find a winning move for white. Judit POLGAR found this move in 5 seconds. So the winning move for white, bishop b6, sacrificing the bishop. What an epic move by Judit POLGAR. And now black loses the game basically, because if Magnus takes the bishop on b6, he gets checkmated on d7. If he retreats to b8, still queen takes d7 checkmate. So what can he do? The only thing he can do to continue the game is to give up on the queen and take the bishop on e4, and that's what he does. Bishop takes e4, POLGAR takes the queen on c7, retrieval of the bishop to c6, very precise move, bishop d6, exchanging a dark square bishop for Magnus, knight f5, knight e4, and Magnus resigned. Absolutely beautiful combination by Judit, and yes, Magnus doesn't lose often, and that was one of those games. If you liked the video and enjoyed the content, please subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you for watching.